Say, Jason, I don't know, you may want to back off the mic a little bit. Your breathing bringing you up. It puts your face on the screen all the time. It's weird. That's who I figured out where the breathing was coming from. I saw your face.
Actually, if you click on the little icons in the top right corner and drag them to the middle, it'll start splitting the screen out, and you can actually see everybody at the same time.
Yeah, what I see is you too.
Yeah, I see myself too, just in case. It helps me from picking my nose.
All right, guys, we're live, so.
All right.
So we're getting starting the clip now. Stand by, folks. So, I guess this. Let's see here. So Chris asked, and this has been asked a few times. Are you worried that what happened to Russ Ulbricht could eventually happen to you?
Well, sure. I mean, you have to at least be mature about it, right? But if the state's going to move against you, it's going to move against you. Now, that doesn't mean that you need to be reckless, of course. I'm awful careful, you guys. And even my degree of care and control ultimately won't be enough if they get mad enough, right? There will always be something. I'm a large enough company now. You know, I have CPAs. I have, you know, they can get you anytime they want on tax stuff, right? We all know that. But I've done what I hope is the best any man can do. So I hope when they do get me, and I've said this before in remarks, like, I hope when they finally do get me that it's obvious that they were, you know, they just made it up. I don't go out of my way to make it easy.
All right, man. I don't want to take more of your time in Laguna Niguel, but you got anything that makes you a rage, like in your personal life? That's not
rage.
I don't know if you have a personal life.
I'm under all kinds of look, I'm about to get owned probably personally, but you know, I'll wait for the news to break.
Yeah.
I don't know,
really?
man. Every single day,
mean?
right? It's like I'm either about to melt down or I don't know.
What do you mean you're about to get owned?
What's that?
What do you mean you're about to get owned in your personal life?
I guess you'll see. But look, everybody and their dog wants my scalp right now. You know, everybody wants to fucking make me and be the hero that stopped me. Because right now, like I'm getting away with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and that's like unheard of. I just beat 20 state attorney generals in open court. You know what I mean? Like my time is not long.
Do you get their scalps? Like, do you get their ties? Cut off their ties and staple them to your wall?
Sure. I mean, that really literally did happen. And the press follows up with all of them, and they're just like, they got nothing to say. They got caught flat-footed. You know, they literally had no idea what they're even suing me about.
All right, and I guess we are officially live. So welcome to Liberty Under Attack Radio, your home for anarchism in action. I'm your host, Shane, coming to you live from Austin, Texas. Today's show was brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/Vonu. There are obviously a bunch of great titles on there, but I'd recommend Going Mobile, a terrific Vanuan band live scene from the 1960s, narrated by yours truly. It features some incredible articles by Rayo and tons of great insight from those living Vonu back in the day. So again, that link is audibletrial.com/Vonu. This podcast is covered by a BIPCOT, no government license, as well as reuse and modification to anyone except governments and the bludgies thereof. You can learn more by visiting bipcot.org. So I don't want to waste any time today. We've got quite an episode. Certainly most of you have heard the news about Cody Wilson over the past few days. The charges themselves were a shock to many, myself included, but the fact that they finally got him is honestly no surprise, at least to me. I'll let these folks provide their opinions, obviously. But I just didn't expect it to happen so quickly. I mean, I just interviewed him last month, and I mean, I guess it's not really surprising. But anyways, joining me is Jason Boothe. How's it going, man?
Not too bad. Not too bad. About yourself?
Oh, doing well, I suppose. Doing well, I suppose. I wish
all things considered.
Right. I wish we could all come together, with for better circumstances. But I guess, oh well, here we are. Andrew Marich, Boothe, what's going on, man?
Howdy doody. Pretty good. Staying busy.
Right on.
Good to hear.
Good to hear. And Randy England, the anarchist ex-lawyer now. It's a pleasure to have you back on the show. I know last time we had you on, you were still an attorney. You still an attorney. So I guess how's retirement treating you?
Oh, it's been great, Shane. I'm enjoying it, and finally now you can get the quality of legal representation that you deserve online because I'm getting nothing, and I've got nothing to offer. I'm not allowed to, or I'd be in jail myself. The weird thing about practicing without a license is that if you do it and you charge a client for some services, not only can they put you in jail for a year, at least in the state of Missouri, but they also have a penalty of twice whatever your fee was that you have to give back to the person that hired you, no matter how good a job you did. So it's
fair enough.
So nothing that I say should be construed as coming from a lawyer, because I'm not one.
Right, exactly.
But I used to be, yeah.
but you do accept cryptocurrency, am I? No.
With considering the topic we have today, and in case anything ever happened to me, I'd rather not say if I ever had any or what I had. I don't know.
What is this crypto? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is.
There you go. I guess one alternative, like, I mean, this, as far as I understand it, this is available to anyone. But couldn't you act as a next friend? Couldn't someone act as a next friend without having an attorney's license, as long as there's no exchange of funds?
Well, that's possible, but it would, if you did anything that could be construed as giving legal advice, particularly for money. They can come after you for the unauthorized practice of law. In every state, it's a crime. Sure. Of course, it's not. I mean, I don't know if it's any worse than giving a haircut without permission. Although the fines would be much worse. I assume haircuts are cheaper than what lawyers charge now. I'm not sure.
Well, what was that barber shop that got shut down?
There was one in California that got shut down recently, and in the state of California, to get a beautician's license, which is needed to do something as simple as braid hair, actually requires more hours of schooling than to become a police officer.
Oh, wow. I believe that. Mm-hmm. Certainly do. We had kind of a nice. We tried. I'm on the board of the Missouri Freedom Center, and it's a litigation group that goes after things like occupational licensing. And we'd had a devil of a time trying to get it to be legal in the state for someone to braid hair without having a cosmetologist license. Mm-hmm. And then finally this year, after failing in the courtroom, we got the legislature finally passed a bill saying you did not have to have a beautician license to braid hair. Oh, wow.
Yeah. What would they do without that license? Oh, man.
What would happen to you? Yeah. What if the person who braided your hair didn't have a license?
And then that person with the braids goes out and works, operates heavy machinery. The braid gets stuck. It doesn't have the brake point installed, and then it just, the damages. It's insane.
That's too much freedom.
That's a good argument. Yeah.
It would probably hold up in court. That's the sad part.
Oh man, probably. So, I guess
I'm not a lawyer.
None of us are. So, yeah, and this is, we are, this is an open conversation. So if you want to join on in, please do. Just shoot me a friend request on Skype. It's shane.radliff. You can find that in the description below in the YouTube video. Send me a message there, and I'll get you added to the call. So I guess real quick, you guys heard a couple of clips at the beginning. Let me provide some citations for those. The first one was from my interview with Cody on August 23rd, and the second was from the Dick Show on September 4th. That was the one where he said they're going to own me personally or something like that. It was on September 4th. So the plan for today is provide a brief overview of the recent events, run through the evidence, discuss some coincidences, similar case studies, and probably do a bit of speculating. We'll talk about the Sanjuro username, which there's an interesting connection there, and I guess an interesting some history and backstory. We'll conclude with some questions about the future, things like the future of Defense Distributed, his ongoing lawsuits, the damage this character assassination, or the damage this, even just the allegations might have done to crypto anarchism, and I guess maybe his work over the past 5 years more generally. So I guess I'll go ahead and just start here by providing a real brief overview. I'm pretty sure most everyone's heard about that. Most anyone that cares about it or has been following him is the arrest warrant for 3D printed gun rights activist Cody Wilson, who is accused of sexually assaulting an unnamed underage girl. On Wednesday afternoon, the Austin Police Department told the public that Wilson still was in custody. The Defense Distributed's founder's last known whereabouts are Taipei, Taiwan, and he skipped his flight back to the States. Authorities believe he received a tip about the new allegation. Let's see here. The allegations obtained earlier in the day by Ars Technica, APD's Detective Sean Donovan outlines what allegedly took place between Wilson and the unnamed victim. The Defense Distributed founder initially met with the girl on August 15th at Bennu Coffee on 515 South Congress Avenue. APD later obtained surveillance video from the area, which showed the girl at around 8:09 p.m. that evening. She also told police that she next got in Wilson's black Ford Edge SUV. The affidavit notes that the Ford Edge is registered to Defense Distributed. The girl told police that she accompanied Wilson to the Archer Hotel about 13 miles north of Bennu, and that Wilson parked using the hotel's valet service. APD discovered hotel surveillance video showing that Wilson and the girl exited the car at the hotel around 8:35 p.m. Police also obtained digital valet receipts, which showed that the SUV was returned to Wilson around 9:17 p.m. According to the girl, she and Wilson took an elevator to the 7th floor, where they entered room 718. Again, hotel surveillance video corroborated her accounts, and hotel records confirmed that Wilson was registered for the hotel that evening. After their encounter, Wilson allegedly paid her with $500 bills. Police say Wilson next drove the girl 33 miles south and dropped her off at a Whataburger. Once more, the police found the video footage corroborated her account. A week after the alleged encounter, a counselor contacted APD on August 22nd to inform them that one of her clients had been involved in this incident. Detectives then interviewed the girl, who provided numerous details about her alleged encounter with Wilson. The girl's parents also allowed the police to search the girl's iPhone. Their authorities found numerous messages and links to sugardaddymeet.com, the website where Wilson and the girl apparently met. Police ultimately matched a Texas driver's license of Wilson, who allegedly went by the handle Sanjuro, with Sanjuro's profile picture on the website. Wilson and the girl exchanged messages, first through Sugar Daddy Meet and later via iMessages. Reportedly, he eventually told the girl that he was a big deal. When she attempted to learn more about him, the girl found numerous news articles about the digital firearms activists. She was interviewed a second time on August 30th by Austin police, and at that time she told authorities they had exchanged nude photos of one another. Today, the judge set a bond of at $150,000 and required that Wilson surrender his passport. Upon arrest, Judge Needles also ordered police to take photographs of the inside of Wilson's upper legs, presumably as a way to be identified by the victim. Apparently, you can't just identify him by the face. Wilson apparently has a uniquely identifiable skin condition according to court documents. So... I guess this article continues on, but that's not relevant anymore because he still hadn't been arrested at that time. So I guess the next the update as of today, which would be 2 a.m. Central Time or 3 p.m. Taiwanese time. He was let me see here. Let me get to the right article here. Well, I guess I might not have that up. But anyways, he was arrested and deported back to the United States to face these charges. So Cody on the run only lasted really only a few days, only a couple days. So I suppose that's where we're at. One other thing that's worth mentioning is that this is a felony. This would be a second-degree felony, I think, with up to upwards of 20 years in prison. So another negative side. I guess a negative side thing with this is that you would be legally barred from owning firearms, which, so yeah, there's that. So I guess what do you guys have to say so far?
I'm super curious of the video evidence, because they'll often say they have evidence corroborating something, and then they're going to show a clip to the jury of just a little segment. And the jury's going to be, yeah, that's definitely him. But there's actually probably not going to, I doubt there's going to be actual proof. I don't know. That's what I want to, that's what has to be examined, I think.
Well, not only that, but like, Cody literally embarrassed the United States government. He took the DOJ to the woodshed. He's in a lawsuit with like, what, 20 different attorney generals? And he's going to own them. Like, he's got the DOJ in his pocket in regards to the lawsuit with the 20 AGs. So, like, to doing what he did or allegedly did is like it seems out of character for me. Like Cody seems like very squared away. And in the interview that he did with Shane, they talked about Cody Ross or they talked about Ross Ulbricht, and Cody said that everything that he's doing is legal because he wants to be upfront with it. He wants to try and change things and to make a positive change, whereas everything Ross did was illegal. I don't see a guy that makes that sort of statement that is doing everything upfront and legal, doing something like this, doing something like he's accused of doing.
Well, even if he were completely guilty of everything they said, there's no reason he would have had to known that he had done anything illegal, except unless you construed it as a prostitution situation,
right? Which
would make it a minor offense as opposed to you're going to jail for 20 years offense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I guess another aspect of this too, and as far as that video evidence, that's actually corroborating it supposedly. I wouldn't be surprised. I followed a case a while back, a guy by the name of Charles Dyer, July 4 Patriot.
He was
a YouTuber, and he amassed a pretty major following, and then I guess the feds set him up on, he had like possession of some sort of a rocket launcher. That charge was dropped, and then he got, so the rocket launcher charge was dropped, but then he got, he actually got one for sexual assault and like child molestation, that sort of thing. And there were 2 mistrials in the first 2 trials, and those transcripts are out there. They're up on the LUA website. But the third one, where he's actually found guilty, I guess as far as what I've been able to find out, the attorneys basically told Jan Dyer, his mother, that she couldn't release the transcripts of the third trial because the daughter's name is in there, and so that evidence, I guess, was kind of, or I guess not really evidence, but those documents were withheld. So I wouldn't be surprised if the same thing happened here, where they say, we can't release this video evidence to the public because there's a
because
involved.
she's
so you
a
have
minor.
to trust us, essentially.
Right.
Well, they're going to have to release the evidence to his attorneys, or allow his attorneys to review the evidence as thoroughly as they want. And if they wanted to have them examined forensically, they certainly would have the right to do that.
Gotcha. Okay. Well,
as I was, looking at when I first read this, I was thinking, what's the name of the website?
SugarDaddyMeat.com.
SugarDaddyMeat.com. I'm sure that any woman who goes on there has to certify that she is over, 18 or 21. Yeah. 18, okay. And so in my state, it actually is a defense if a person honestly and reasonably believed that the victim was of age. And when I was reading over what the information that's available here, I was thinking if the other things were true, he goes to this website, and that looks like a dating website or something, and finds a woman who claims to be, and she did claim it, to be on there, I assume.
Yep.
To be of age, then he'd have a good defense. But in fact, Texas is purely a strict liability state, and unlike in Missouri, it doesn't matter how old you thought she was, even if she looks 30 and says she was 30. If she's 16, you're screwed.
Yeah, and that's I think the legal term I've heard thrown around for that is strict liability. It doesn't matter if it was on purpose or not. So it's just the fact that it happened. Well, you're screwed. Even if I guess in this case, if it were to happen as they say it was, it would be fraud on her part, right? Because she was just dishonest about it.
But that would be irrelevant that wouldn't even come up at the trial, because it would be irrelevant to guilt or innocence on his part.
Sure.
Right.
They wouldn't even be able to go after her about that, just because it doesn't have anything to do with it.
It makes her automatically the victim with no really requirement.
Yeah, I'm on the website right now, and the sign up form at the beginning, you have to list your age, and it doesn't go below 18.
Right.
So she had to falsify that.
and that information would have been available to him. I would expect that the men that signed up on the site had the same requirement.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
So he could very well, in his own mind, be completely innocent of this, and that is irrelevant because the Texas legislature does not care whether you're innocent in your mind. If you did it, you're guilty. There aren't very many strict liability crimes that you can get a felony for, and this is one of those that even if you come up with even if you convince everybody on the jury that you're innocent, you didn't know, you're still guilty under the law. It would be a good case for jury nullification.
Yep.
Interesting. So I guess that's a decent start here to our discussion today. I guess let's talk a little more about. I guess we'll kind of go through and I guess what do you guys because I guess when I first initially heard about it, I just I really didn't even think it. I just thought they were making everything up. Maybe they still are. I don't know. We don't have all those details. We don't have the video evidence and such to actually verify that. But even if it wasn't a set, even if it wasn't I guess just a complete fabrication. What did I think we all kind of have the same conclusion here that the state's better off now with him in prison. If he goes to prison, they're much better off. They got embarrassed, the problems dealt with, his reputation's ruined, and all of that. So I guess what are the chances do you think that there's some state involvement here as far as entrapment or a setup?
That was one of the things I thought of right off the bat. In the first article I read, it talked about there was surveillance, and it didn't say what it was like. And I thought, how do you have surveillance, intentional surveillance, of a crime involving a minor that would require what happened with this girl, allegedly? And after I looked at it closer, it became clear that the surveillance was just sort of accidental surveillance, the surveillance at the Whataburger, the surveillance at the coffee shop, the surveillance of the elevator at the hotel, and that sort of thing. So that the cop that investigated this what was his name? I don't know, officer or something. I can't recall.
I think it was officer, yeah.
I think it was officer. I'll go with that. I like that. But officer describes how he went to each of the places that the girl said she had been with Cody, and checked at the time she said she was there. And he says that he found this video with her and Cody in it in each of these places, and it was in at least 3 different places, and maybe multiple places at the hotel. Honestly, you say that, police, some police lie, and they do, but in my experience, they don't lie like that. They don't detail this long lie and say, I saw this and I saw this and I saw this, and I saw it at multiple places, because now you can't even do the, oh, gee, we erased this recording. They have multiple recordings in multiple places, and they put it all in these public documents. I'd be willing to bet any amount of money that when it comes time, if I was his lawyer, I'd be viewing all those videos, and they're probably going to show what he says they show, just simply because he was so definite and open about it. And so you're going to have to, a lawyer would have to review all these very carefully, but he's not going to be surprised if he finds out that it all holds up. Right. And the other thing is that, when we say, well, hey, I know Cody, and I just can't believe that he would let himself get into a problem like this. Like I said, he could have gotten into this without, a person with too much sense to get into a statutory rape charge. You could, if you didn't know what you were getting into. If you didn't know, if she looked like she was old enough and said she was old enough, and everything else said she was old enough, why would you necessarily know? Of course, we haven't seen what this girl looks like. Probably won't, because of the press isn't going to have her picture. But I don't know. That's tough. And anything is possible when they have a way. And Texas law is beautiful for this. They have a way to get you when you didn't know that you'd done anything wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point, because one of my initial kind of, it's like, well, obviously as an anarchist, I don't trust the state, and I especially don't trust the state when they clearly would love to see Cody, the problem dealt with, right? So like my initial thing is, like this, sexual assault with a minor is, a very, good way for that, because the girl doesn't even have to exist. But as you said, if the bludgy went through so many details of the video, that's a lot of claims that he's making, and obviously he knows that that'll come out in discovery. So
right.
That's an interesting point. Yeah, Jason, you were going to step
in. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I didn't. Like Randy took the words out of my mouth, and but the amount of detail that the reporting officer went into, and he said I saw him XXXXX. Like, even that is not proof that Cody and this girl did what she said they did.
Right.
I mean, that's just proof that they were together, that they were at Whataburger, that they were in the hotel room, that they were, or in the hotel elevator, that they were at the valet. That doesn't prove that they were together, that they had some sort of sexual intercourse.
There are no videos in the hotel room.
But you're right. That's the one thing there's no direct evidence of, apparently.
But it is enough to probably sway a jury.
Mm-hmm.
When you add it all together, you mean the paying of the money, the going up into a motel room for 45 minutes, etc.
Yep.
Yeah, and
it's what they call it, circumstantial evidence, I think is the term.
Exactly. Yeah.
They didn't have any hard evidence. They didn't have any actual proof that Ross was DPR either, but they had enough circumstantial evidence that they were able to convict him.
Yeah.
And I can honestly see the same thing happening here with Cody. There's no rubber, there's no condom, with his and her DNA on it. So they can't prove that, but there's enough circumstantial evidence that they can publicly prosecute him, in the public's mind, and they can completely ruin his reputation. Mm-hmm. And they can convince a jury. Like, I mean, they just gotta keep flashing the word anarchy up there, or anarchist, and crypto, and 3D printed guns, and
Bitcoin
and Bitcoin, and just make this guy into like a demon.
Guns.
That's what they're doing. They demonize the guy, and then the circumstantial evidence is enough to
damn him,
to prosecute him.
Well, the public for convicting him in public, you're right. None of those things would be relevant in the trial, and his attorney can keep them out.
Public a person's opinion has just as much play on a jury as the evidence does.
Oh, if the jurors already know it, that's what I meant. You can convict him in public.
It's everywhere.
And if you showed up that day and didn't know about him, that I don't know how likely that would be.
Good luck.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Another thing that I wonder about is the evidence. The bond, I think, was $150,000 bond. And it required him to be under GPS tracking and have, I think, no contact with the victim. And there was one other condition. Surrender the passport was a condition of the bond. But I wonder if between the time that the judge issued that warrant and now, if that will stand, or if they might take away the bond if they decide that there was evidence of trying to run. That could kill it. I hate to think of that.
Yeah, well, it is. That is kind of damning. Yeah.
They said that he was arrested today, And one of the things that was in an article yesterday was him looking for or trying to sign a rental agreement on an apartment in Taiwan yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And then the person that was renting the apartment, I guess they saw it on the news or something like that and called the authorities. And then the authorities started looking for him, and the authorities, or one of the hotels that he was staying at, saw him on video and called the authorities. So the fact that he was trying to rent an apartment, allegedly, like I'm not Cody, I don't know for sure, but the fact that he was trying to rent an apartment, according to them, I think that'll forfeit any sort of bond.
Well, there'd have to be a new bond set, and they would probably have to do something before he could have arrangements to get back and post a bond the moment he gets back in the country. But so they would probably have to act before then. But all they'd have to do is ask the judge to revoke the bond now, and then they'd bring him before the judge pretty quickly so that he could have a bond hearing. And like I said, if there is evidence of an attempt to run, that would go badly for you.
Yeah. Right. And Jason and I were talking about this. That's even if this is all fabricated, if it was a setup or anything like that, even if the events actually did transpire, obviously, if he's innocent of all of this, then he's not going to get a fair trial back. And so Jason and I are talking about this. He might as well just run, because that's a lot of prison time. And if if everything did happen still, the strict liability thing, even if she just lied off her ass, that still doesn't make a difference. So the best thing would be to run. And I guess just to add one other thing on top of this, going back to Ross Ulbricht's case, is that the fake charges of him hiring assassins, I guess funding assassination attempts, that was one thing used to justify the extremely harsh sentence, and the judge openly used his philosophy against him. So in Cody's case, I'll be interested to see how this goes, because I would, depending on how bad they want to get him, they could, use, him being a crypto anarchist to demonize him. They could, use his philosophy against him, and that sort of thing. So I don't know. Is it possible that the sexual assault case could be more kind of secondary, kind of like with the charges that Ross was, put forth with? It was really the fake. There wasn't even a charge of him hiring assassins. It was just something mentioned on the arrest warrant, I think. So, what do you guys think?
Well, in a sentencing hearing, there are a lot of other things that you talk about than you would in a trial, and ironically, there would be good for him and bad for him. Some of these things that I've mentioned that wouldn't come in the trial would come in at a sentencing hearing. The evidence is typically broader and a bit looser than just evidence of direct guilt. But on the other hand, I would think that if the evidence turned out that he was innocent in terms of knowledge that this girl was underage, I would think, if I was a judge and I saw something like that, I would think, well, I'll give this guy the smallest sentence I could give him. Right. So as a sentencing hearing, the things that can come in could cut both ways. The thing is, though, just like, Lincoln wanted to start the Civil War, and he had to cross his fingers and wait for the right provocation, and then they fired on Fort Sumter. And so this thing with, this being a setup, well, you could have a setup, or it could be, all of our dreams come true, because we've been watching this guy waiting for him to trip up.
Right.
And, you don't know which it is, but corrupt people operate in both ways. If they could get away with, out and out cheating to get you, they would. But sometimes they have to wait for you to do something, and this could be their something.
Okay, we got there's a lot of comments. The chat's pretty active, but we got one that says from Wolfie Journo. It says, if he didn't do this, why would he have said that he was about to get owned? It seemed like he made a poor choice and he knew it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
It makes a lot of sense. People do dumb things all the time. People do things that are out of character a lot.
Well, when you say he knew it, that doesn't mean that he knew that she was underage at the time.
Oh yeah, no, I think
Yes.
I think they mean more like he knew.
They were looking at him.
Yeah.
And that what he did might be questionable. So was he really that stupid? I mean, if the evidence actually comes out, then yeah, I guess he kind of was. If it was even remotely questionable, why would you go through with it?
Yeah, and that was the thing that really got me. It's like reading through all of the evidence, and then the phone call, I guess the text messages and the picture messages and things. Like if you look at how like he's been under surveillance for quite some time. He was doing the 3D printed gun. He was under surveillance. He was brought in interrogated by DHS or something like that, whatever agent, ATF it was. So like he's. In the new Radical documentary, like he was talking about how he was there are days that are really really hard, and he knew that when he had have calls with his mom, they would know him at his weakest points. So like he was fully aware that he had to practice excellent security culture, and he did. And that's what really I guess kind of shocked me was reading through that. I mean, there had to have been like 15 security violations in the span of like 24 hours. Like that just didn't seem so out of character. But I mean that's not completely abnormal. I mean with a lot of these folks who ran like the deep web marketplaces, their security culture was excellent, but it was one silly stupid mistake that got him. I think with one of the I guess one of the founders, everything was perfect, but he accidentally used an email address that was also affiliated to his real name. Then they had that one connection. Then it was game over from there. So I guess maybe this was just
once they find
Cody's
once they find
mistake.
a crumb, they follow the trail.
Well, that's what they're doing with the whole Sanjuro name, his username, which is peculiar. Because what is it? Sanjuro's tied to some other case or
we'll definitely get into that. Jason, do you want to get your buddy on here? Before we get moving in here too quickly. But yeah, that's an interesting one. The Sanjuro is certainly an interesting one. But yeah, it just seems.
I love Akira Kurosawa, but it's just why that name? Why are they? It's a movie.
Yes,
you ever watch any of that?
I actually had to look into it because I initially did some. I just was like, what the hell does Sanjuro mean? Like if Cody actually chose this name, there's some meaning behind it because he doesn't choose these things just out of character. And
Right.
Yeah, so apparently, and Jason actually sent me this yesterday, but quote, Toshiro Mifune swaggers and snarls to brilliant comic effect, and Kurosawa's tightly paced, beautifully composed Sanjuro. And this companion piece and sequel to Yojimbo, Jaded Samurai Sanjuro helps an idealistic group of young warriors weed out their clan's evil influences, and in the process turns their image of a proper samurai on its ear. So, I don't know. Seemed at least a little fitting. Like it seemed like something that he might choose. But I don't know. For
SugarDaddyMeat.com.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's strange. That's really strange. I mean, what's
really? It blows my mind. I really hope it's all made up, but I have a feeling that if the evidence is as strong, like Randy's argument about them laying out the points and having all these points, it just makes it so. I'm actually starting to question that maybe he did do something very stupid.
Yes, and Wolf Journo made a good comment here in the chat. I also find the detail that the miner's friends were somehow able to get in contact with him to tip him off. So, the fact that one of these allegedly the 16-year-old girl's friend got in contact with Cody. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess Andrew's having problems. So, okay, good deal. So, so I don't know. Him being in contact with two 16-year-old girls just seems super strange. Super strange to me, at least. But having problems over there, Jason?
Yeah, I am going bonkers trying to figure this out.
So yeah, if you go up to the top right, there's a little add button. Just the top right of the normal Skype screen. It's next to the little gear for the settings, and then you just click that, add people to call, and then you'll be able to add them that way. So.
Yeah.
Nope, not doing it.
I'm lost.
Well, if you've got his username, feel free to send it over, and I'll take care of it.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in here. Wolf Journo's on this. Yeah. Yeah, he's got some good stuff on here. Yeah, he said, I don't think he knew of her age, but I definitely think it's possible that he used that dating website. People of all types of fetishes. Yeah, that is true. That is true. That is true. And I guess that was something that was kind of shocking to me was, again, like the security culture for that is not great. And hiring prostitutes, I mean, that just gives you a very easy way to get targeted by the feds. But I don't know. And I also said, he doesn't have time to, he doesn't have time for this. Like I was at his place and dude's busy as shit. And like with all the lawsuits and stuff, like he doesn't have time for women. And then someone pointed out those are the exact types of people that typically, do this sort of thing because they don't have time for a relationship, which I don't know if that's the case, but they made a point. I said, okay, maybe I might be, wrong on that one. I don't know though.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely no way to know.
Entirely possible.
So I guess you can go ahead and move on to kind of these questions, kind of getting to looking at the future and what ramifications this might have. But I guess, well, actually, I forgot to mention one thing about the Sanjuro thing, didn't I? Yeah, so...
It's mentioned in the chat, yeah.
Oh, is it the time of the assassination market? Oh, yeah. Comrade Litterbox.
Guy named in the interview 2013 in Forbes about the assassination GoFundMe crypto market.
And see, Comrade
that was the user's name.
Oh, yeah, he makes and see like that was something I brought up with someone else I was hoping to that I invited on here. We were talking about, but and Comrade Letterbox says, guys, that's why they might have used that name. If this was a fabrication and a setup, maybe they could time to the assassination mark, which I think I talked to you about too, Jason. If they really, really want to hammer him, but I don't know. We're getting really into the conspiratorial realm there. So I don't know. I do not know. So yeah, I guess we can go on and get into some of these questions about what impact this will have. So I mean, I'm sure he had his affairs in order for Defense Distributed. I'm sure he did. And that's like he's obviously the founder and like as the main guy, but he has to have someone to kind of continue that, I would imagine. So what does that mean about the lawsuits against the 20-some state governments? Which I don't know where he's at in the process with that. I mean, what will happen in Defense Distributed? I mean the nonprofit. I mean the idea of Defense Distributed itself will still be there. The files are all still available. The ghost gunners are still out there and all of that. But what do you guys think about the future of Defense Distributed, and maybe Randy, a better question for you is what will happen, I guess with the lawsuits. I mean, it's Defense Distributed is named on there, not Cody Wilson. So as far as the last time I checked, so I don't know, what do you guys think?
Well, the lawsuits, there are a number of lawsuits in state courts. Is that right?
Right. Yep. Multiple jurisdictions.
And he's settled out settled a dispute with the Justice Department, mm-hmm. if I read correctly. Sure. And I'm not familiar with what exactly the what the deal is in those state lawsuits, and so I assume if his company is set up so that it can continue without him, if it had to, then they'll still have to, they have a lawyer, I assume. And they could continue on with that, but I don't know what their circumstances are.
Right, and I guess even with, even if Defense Distributed was able to carry through, I mean, Second Amendment Foundation, and there's other organizations that are involved in it too. So I think the lawsuits might still continue, but even at that, the State Department is listed as a defendant with Defense Distributed on the initial lawsuit, I guess. So I mean the. Hell, I don't know. Maybe he could still win, via the state, which is really weird to think about. But yeah, this was all started over that license that was granted to him by the State Department. So I don't know. Strange. Definitely strange. So yeah. I guess.
The thing that I would be worried about is that they're gonna probably try and draw this out as long and as miserably as possible. Like he's not going to get a speedy trial. If they can tie that in with all the other cases with the states, then he'll probably just get. Do you think he would get transported around? Would he get drawn out, thrown in all these different holding situations, waiting for different trials? Are they going to bring him in as a witness now that they have him, or like how? I just have a very bad feeling that it's not going to be a simple, quick case. I think they're going to draw it out as far as possible, and him being out of the country and having to come back is going to make it even longer.
Well, a lot of it's going to depend also on whether he's free or not. He may not be free to go anywhere pending trial.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's certainly a good point. So I guess we can broaden this out here. So obviously the left has jumped on this a lot, and basically the reason Cody wanted to do the 3D printed gun things was because he was a criminal and he wanted to be able to make his own guns. And it's like, well, you still misunderstand the 3D printed pistol. You really do. But obviously the left jumped on that, and basically obviously the NRA is taking some flack for this, which I don't have a whole lot of sympathy for them regardless. But the NRA is taking a lot of flack for this, and their affiliation, their very loose affiliation with him. I think they had him on NRA TV a couple times, and I think they might have made some comments about him being a fighter for the Second Amendment or something. So the conservatives taking a little bit of a hit for this, but I think as far as crypto anarchism itself. That's been kind of every single news article I've really read. It's self-proclaimed crypto anarchist this, self-proclaimed crypto anarchist that. So I don't know. Do you think what impact do you think that'll have on I guess on the label and I guess the movement in crypto anarchism? Is it a little bit tarnished now?
I don't think it's tarnished at all. I don't. It's almost unrelated, because the idea of the whole crypto anarchy and defense distributed and all that is so far beyond Cody himself that I don't really see it even tied together. Even I'm pretty sure even Cody looks at it that way. Like the cat's out of the bag. It really doesn't have anything to do with him. I think they're just like Randy was saying earlier, they were just watching and waiting for him to slip up, and now they're going to capitalize on it just to punish him for being him. But I don't think it's going to have any effect on the defense distributed in general, or even the idea of 3D printing guns or whatever. I just don't. It's too far apart.
Fair enough. Yeah, I could agree with that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's something that Shane and I talked about before the show too, is the idea that, I mean, the original Liberator pistol came out 2013. Right, so 5 years ago, right, and it was like 100,000 downloads in like 5 days, right? I mean, that's out there. It's out there. There's no going back. You can't remove them from the internet. Add in the amount of innovation since then, and the number of other anarchists and other Second and Right Amendment supporters and other people that are really into 3D printing that are doing this. It's not going away. It's absolutely not going away. So in that way, Cody's legacy is out there. It's like that. Cody will always be tied to 3D printing. So no matter what the media says, it's out there. The same with Ross Ulbricht, and allegedly the Silk Road, because there was never proof that he was part of it. But Ross will always be tied to Tor and to the black market and to those kind of crypto marketplaces. It's not going away. So in that way, I say that his legacy, his reputation will always be a part of it, no matter what the government does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. It's bigger than he is. He's the hero and the guy out front, but somebody else always picks up the flag.
Right, but Jason Paradise makes a good point here, and I think it's a decent point. He said, "Look, he's the face of the anarchist community. If true, it's a dumb move." Sure, and I mean, as far as the mainstream perception of the mainstream connection, the mainstream ties. I mean, you guys know that they'll even if it's completely unrelated, they'll still try to, if they have a chance to demonize some sort of opposing position, they will. There's no real integrity when it comes to folks in the servile society. So that is I guess that is true. That is true. It is a dumb move, but at the same time, yeah, like with PGP, Phil Zimmerman, he had some struggles with the state. PGP's open source, it lived on. With Jim Bell's assassination markets, yeah, they went after him for that. They went after him for
they got him too.
So, yeah, they got him, and that idea still lived on. I mean, the Augur folks, I mean, they just the Ethereum smart contract guys, they just developed a betting platform, and one opened up on there. So yeah, these things definitely live on, and crypto anarchism doesn't need mainstream. It doesn't need a positive mainstream image to continue. It definitely does.
Libertarian doesn't need Kokesh. And crypto anarchy doesn't need Cody.
Right on. So this is Andrew, right, Jason?
Yeah, Andrew. What's up, brother?
Welcome,
Sorry it took me so long to get you on. I had trouble figuring it out.
No, that's fine. It was crazy trying to get home. The traffic here is just nuts right now. So
yeah. Andrew does the Anarchy Among Friends roundtable discussion with me, but we were discussing Cody's legacy. If he's found guilty, if this is all true, what's Cody's legacy?
I mean, from what I heard, you guys already kind of nailed it. What he's done has effectively, you can't stop the signal, right? The great Firefly quote that everybody keeps using for what Defense Distributed is doing. And that's true. It's out there now. And so what he's done is created something that, especially now that 3D printing is getting more into like metal sintering and you're getting better materials, you're getting harder things. He's taken centuries of gun control and rendered them irrelevant forever. They will never matter. I mean, above and beyond what Ludi did, back in the 70s with the practical home built weapons. Even beyond that, he's taken everything that they could ever hope that they could do, everything that they could control. And really the only thing he's left them is ammunition control. And obviously that's going to be the next thing that they're going to go after. But that's what he's done. He's finally made the practical creation of weaponry in the home totally unpreventable. I mean, the only thing they could do is ban 3D printers and hardware stores.
Did you see the there's actually, speaking, the ammo thing is actually a really big point. They have that new was it $1,200 for a 3D printed railgun? Just go to your hardware store. You got plenty of ammo.
There's there's a politician in Detroit that is they're a member of the House there in Michigan. They're actually pushing for mental health background checks on ammunition purchases.
Oh God!
California here, they're starting to have
ammo sales plummet.
The bill was passed last year, signed into law. I think there's some lawsuits against it, so it hasn't gone into effect. But background checks, NICS checks on ammunition, and then registered ammunition. Like you can only have so many rounds before you pop up on the state database and be like, oh my God, he has too much ammunition. We have to watch this guy. Yeah, so you can only purchase so much ammunition at a time.
Well, and who defines too much ammunition? I have probably 25,000 rounds right now, and you want
to? California just shuddered, but like,
oh God,
we can only have 10 rounds in our firearm here in California, and that's not 10 and 1. That's not 10 and 1 in the pipe. No, it's 10 rounds.
Yeah, that's still plenty. I mean, what's funny is they put a limit on it, but it really doesn't lessen the damage you can do. Maybe by a couple seconds, but it's totally ineffective.
Yeah, I did a video with a guy a couple of years ago when the magazine ban thing was a little more of a hot button issue, and we demonstrated it with tactical reloads in an AR. Yeah. So you keep one in the chamber with tactical reloads. You not only have no appreciable change in fire rate, number of rounds down range, but you actually can increase it slightly with 10 round mags only.
Yeah.
So
Parkland, the guy that allegedly did the Parkland shooting, he only had 10 round magazines.
Yep.
Wow.
Right. What was it? The one in Colorado, the one that really started it all. Like that happened during the magazine ban. So Just saying.
Yeah. Well, and then look at the history of military-grade weapons and stuff. Most of them never had more of a capacity than 5 or 10 rounds anyway. Look at the Mosin Nagant. How many people has that murdered?
Yep, peasant's rifle.
One of the most successful rifles, the M1 Garand. Right. Also, arguably one of the finest battle rifles ever built, and that used end block clips, man. Like it's nothing.
Yeah.
What about these single shot? What about these single shot knives too? They've done some damage. Yeah. Mass stabbing.
Single shot knives?
I was kidding.
Oh, knives.
Yeah.
I was like, what is this?
What's that saying? Battle axes don't have to reload.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zombie apocalypse. Remember, you never have to reload a blade.
Of course, then you go back in history. They also made the punt gun, which was like a shotgun with like a 8-foot long barrel that they used for commercial duck hunting, and they would just load it with like hundreds and hundreds of BBs, and it was like one shot. And it took like 2 people to reload and like 3 people to fire, and it was used for commercial duck hunting.
Yeah, those are actually, they carried them in boats that were actually called punts, which is why they're called punt guns. You actually had to lay prone on one end of the boat, and the gun pointed out the other end of the entire boat.
Off the bow, off the bow of the boat.
And the whole boat would move with the recoil, and you'd have like 50 ducks would just fall into the water. And that's, I mean, and that's a black powder gun. I mean, imagine using that now. Like
self-defense.
as the Constitution intended.
Yep, there you go.
Hold on, I need to reload.
Wait.
Stop. Wait. But
whoa, gents.
That's kind of the beauty of bureaucracy, though, is that it's always going to be lagging behind the technology. Always.
Yeah, that's
the part that really bothers me, or the part that I think we're all concerned about, is everyone that gets caught up in the machine in the process. Because look at with Ross right now, he's effectively gone. His whole life is over. Mm-hmm. That can happen to any activist, really. And that's the one thing we can't. Technology will continue, the idea will continue, but individuals are going to be lost along the way, inevitably.
And that's a good point, because that's 2 different approaches, right? I mean, Cody was out and open about this. Has given name the entire time. This is what's come about. Then you have Ross, who no one really knew who Ross was. Well, actually, I don't think anyone knew who Ross was before. Before he got arrested. And he tried to go the more, and I guess, a pseudonymous route with Dread Pirate Roberts, at least allegedly and all.
Allegedly.
So, and I mean, I think that just shows the value of, like with the crypto anarchist community in the past, why these privacy enhancing tools are so important, because if they don't know who you are, you have a much higher chance. Maybe that's debatable, right? You have at least a higher chance of being able to stay, out of the government dungeons, because putting your given name on something makes it really, really easy. So you can put Cody Wilson on an arrest warrant, but you can't put Dread Pirate Roberts, right? I mean, that doesn't work in a court of law.
Not yet, anyway.
That
might change.
Awesome, though.
That might change. Who knows? Because your birth certificate, your given name, etc., versus what you call yourself, I think they make that work. That's the thing, though, is like, I think a lot of kids, or at least I noticed this, especially with an anonymous and that kind of hacktivism and stuff. There are kids that they've been using the same profile for years. They've been using the same email, the same passwords, the same usernames, and they just change their profile picture to a picture of Guy Fawkes, and all of a sudden they're anonymous. And it's like,
Guy Fawkes, the statist.
Know what you're getting into. Like, it's not a game. It's not a simple thing.
Well, I mean, it is kind of a game, though. I mean, I forget what they call themselves, those guys that are active again, that's stolen something like $18 billion or something worldwide. Those hackers that are hacking the ATMs and stuff across Europe and Asia, and that for them it kind of is a game. It's a big game. I mean, they're counting coup. That's what it is. That's Yeah, stakes are high.
And who knows? Yeah, and who knows? Obviously the money's nice, right? But at the same time, I mean, maybe they're just, maybe it's we don't know. I don't know what their ideology is. I didn't even hear about this, but maybe they're trying to show how vulnerable, the mainstream financial system is. But I don't know. Maybe that's a little out there.
Well, even if that's not their intention, that is what they're doing. Because I mean, these guys literally, they were active for a number of years, like up through like 2007 ish, and then they disappeared for a while, and then they came back, and they're active again. And they disappeared right around the time law enforcement started to get too close. But they're true hackers. I mean, it's not like they're some dude sitting in a basement somewhere, staring at a bunch of code on the screen. They are going full on, like, actually social engineering. They're sending emails. Yeah, they have no power gloves. So, they're sending emails pretending to be part of the organization. They're social engineering, getting these passwords, getting in and gaining access, and then throwing a Trojan on the system. And then they get access to the ATM, tell the ATM to spit out all the money. As an accomplice just happens to be walking by, he picks it up and he's gone. And how do you stop that?
The Manera botnet hackers, right? They're the ones that took down the internet in like 2016 and a couple other things. They were recently sentenced, and part of their sentence is 1,000 hours of community service if they do the community service for the FBI.
Oh, of course. Of course.
Yeah.
Well, as long
sorry, 2,500 hours community service.
They don't have to be effective, right?
Yeah. Friendly saboteur. Hashtag bad Quaker.
I'm a Fed.
Just every time they try to infiltrate. Fed.
Yep. Exactly.
Right. And I was watching this. I've been watching a lot of videos from DEF CON, like the biggest hacking convention, and there was one video where, this guy, I guess paid. This guy paid, 5 hackers, in different ways to, get access to all of his life information. And I saw the social engineering one. Within like 30 seconds, she had the password changed on one of his, on one of his accounts. It's crazy how effective these people can be. And then just the guy who just kind of just put something on his system. He put it it was just this fake pop-up that looked really similar to something else, and the guy used the same password for everything. So he got access to that, and then within a couple days later they met up, and he was like, all right, so I've been monitoring your webcam for the past 3 days. I've got access to all your bank accounts. I've moved some money around to show you, and et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, yeah, okay, these guys are pretty effective. Now, if only, and there's another DEF CON video I watched, and it was called How to Overthrow a Government. And it's basically, I think I sent that to you.
Oh, that was such a good speech.
It's basically Ben's book, only hackers doing everything remotely. It was incredible. The guy was a little bit of he liked Che Guevara. He had at least a picture on one of the slides. So I don't think he was necessarily from our camp, but.
Kyle Turnblazer, you guys know him from the Liberty Forge. He said we should all identify as Bodhi and call it the Spartacus effect.
Yeah, that'll work.
We're all the Bodhi now.
Oh, that's going to cause some confusion.
Right, let's get caught up on chat here. I haven't been watching for a few minutes, but oh yeah, there we go. I see chat's delayed for me for some reason. Oh well. Yeah, let's see what else we got going on here.
I think one of the comments a while ago that I wanted
ideas are bulletproof. Absolutely.
Yeah, one of the way back was someone saying that they hope he doesn't get suicided. And I don't think he's that much of a threat for them to warrant him being suicided. I think it would be more miserable for him to sit in jail for 20 years.
Well, yeah,
especially if you go to jail with a sexual assault charge of a minor.
Well, not only that, but
1,000 times worse than death.
As a symbol, Cody is worth more to the state than he is to the crypto anarchist community. The same with Ross. That's a hell of a deterrent. That's a hell of a flashlight pointed on that person saying, look at this, look at this. This is why you don't want to go against the government.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And for most of us, that's exactly why I want to go against the government.
Right. It does have. I think it is pacifying for quite a few folks, but for some, I definitely do think
there's been too many Randy Weavers. Too many Randy Weavers.
Yeah.
Well, and look at Ruby Ridge. I mean, it galvanized everybody at the time. All the people who were already anti-government. They weren't. Mm-hmm. They didn't run and hide or anything else. They got really pissed off. They showed up there and they protested and they
like with Bundy, like with Bundy Ranch.
Yeah, and that's I think that's starting to I think Bundy Ranch wasn't a huge touchstone for where the whole anti-government movement really is, but I think it's the fact that the people who were involved were normally so very pro-government and started to get anti-government is at least a good sign.
Yeah.
See, it was. I held that same outlook for a while, and then a lot of those folks stopped with any of the direct action they were doing, and now we're just all about Trump. So So that it was good to see. I mean, back in those days, actually not Bundy Ranch. I came in a little later than that, but with the Malheur Wildlife Refuge occupation, I mean, I knew I was in contact with a few folks over there, so colleagues with a few of them, and they were pretty great. I kind of disagreed with their premise. I guess their premise that the federal land should be returned to the states. I'd say you just privatize it all. But they were doing some interesting things, and they were taking action, and they weren't voting, and that all changed pretty quickly.
Yeah. What was it? And Mauer, it was what, 19 of the 34 people were federal informants.
Oh yeah, there was 16 informants. Yeah.
16 informants. Yeah. Tells you right there. Yeah, that's everything you need to know.
Right.
So,
wow.
But you can make comparisons between that and Bundy and the Ruby Ridge thing and the Sagebrush Rebellion, of the 70s and 80s. You can make straight comparisons between that and what we have now with crypto anarchism and digital advocacy and things like that. The spirit is there. The spirit is there. It's just modern tools, modern tools, modern ways. Mm-hmm. But I think we have to have a mix of the two. Actually start any change.
I think we're going to start transcending the normal progression of events because the way AI is developing,
it's speeding up. It's speeding up so fast.
We're going to have activists that don't exist, basically. And that's going to be a whole other ballgame because what was the interview with?
That starts?
Yeah, actually, it already exists. But oh my God, what's his name? The Tesla guy.
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk and Joe Rogan, that whole thing. They talked about AI and all this and how Elon's been basically petitioning the government to start putting things in place to at least acknowledge the progression of AI.
Yeah, him and I think it was him and 350 other technology industry advocate or technology industry executives signed a letter to Congress asking Congress to stop trying to militarize AI.
Right. So now imagine this: if there's an AI that can be developed that creates parametric designs for 3D printed guns that uses available parts as a composite material, and it just keeps producing them and uploading them all by itself.
There you go.
Who do you charge? Who do you go after?
Yeah.
It's just available. It's just information. It's just reproducing. Going.
Like that meme with the printer that has all those ARs underneath it that says when you keep hitting reprint.
Yeah.
Right.
Popping them out. Imagine. Well, and on top of that too. I mean, imagine especially who would you charge? What happens if it prints one in the wrong place?
Right. Well,
and some dude just comes home in California and he's got
he's got 16 rifles,
a pile of 30 round mags. I didn't do this, man. That was my computer. Seriously, it's a glitch.
I've been hacked.
Hackers.
That's like those people that in Florida right now. There's 24 pound, 26 kilo packets of marijuana washing up on the beach in Florida right now, and people are stealing them, and the cops are like, "Oh no, don't steal it." Yeah, that'd be me in California with the guns.
Yeah, who did I steal that from? I just picked it up. It was on the beach. What?
The dolphins, man.
It's seaweed. It's seaweed.
I think laying on the beach. I think laying on the beach is the practical definition of abandoned property. You would just homestead it.
There you go. Works for me.
That weed had squatters' rights, man.
That's what I feel about firearms. It's squatters' rights.
It was just laying there.
Yeah.
I mean, it was in a cop car, but it was just laying there.
Hashtag Homestead City Hall.
I think that's a key, though, because even the idea of victimless crimes, or even of a victimless or a accuserless crime, I guess, is that they then go after the people that are using what that produced. They don't have anyone to go after at the root, but they're going to use it to expand their search of the people, I guess.
That's the only power that the government has is to crack down on people, right? The government doesn't produce anything. They can't give you anything that is not bestowed in you naturally. So their only power is to crack down and oppress, right? In order to maintain their power. So they can't stop 3D printing, right? Just like they can't stop Tor, they can't stop the black market, they can't stop all that stuff.
The thing is, they go after
those things. Absolutely. 3D printed guns are a direct result of gun control.
Yep.
Right. If gun control did not exist, there'd be no need to go after 3D printed guns. Necessity is the mother of invention.
Right. An open bazaar was created based off of the Silk Road. So like they went after Ross and put on these severely harsh sentences to try to deter this activity. And it wasn't, oh, well, we're not going to do this anymore. It's like, no, we're just not going to have this centralized. Then you can't do anything about it. So yeah, you're exactly right. Anytime the state tries to regulate anything, it's not really a ban on doing it. It's just people have to get more creative about how to continue to go about pursuing those activities. So I think that's certainly a great point.
Are you guys implying that prohibition might not work?
Oh, it works great.
It totally works. Let's just poison all this alcohol and let it get out into the public hands and.
I distinctly remember nobody drank during the 1930s. I am certain of that.
Exactly. Nobody here, nobody on this panel smokes cannabis at all because it's illegal at the federal level.
No, my great grandmother did not, make booze in the bathtub to survive the Great Depression. That did not happen.
No.
I
think my favorite story out of that too is that one that juice maker that sold like the grape juice with a free packet to make bread at home of yeast and instructions on how to be absolutely sure you did not accidentally turn it into wine. Like, definitely don't do this. And whatever you do not do these 3 things next. And
do not let it sit. Blah, blah, blah. Don't bubble it. Yeah.
Exactly. And they just had to get creative.
Well, thanks to Jimmy Carter in 1978, we can brew beer now.
Right.
Well, we could before that. It was just the government is giving us permission now.
Yeah, right.
They love their microbrews, man. It's the edgy hipsters now. It's all about the microbrew.
Yeah, once you start making pumpkin spice beer, I quit. I'm done.
Oh yeah.
Fuck you, Sam Adams. I'm done.
Actually, I have to admit, Blue Moon made that horchata one, and it actually was really, really good. I know.
Desert. It's a desert dessert. I'm just calling it a desert. It's a desert brew.
Hey, I love the sour and funky ones myself.
Oh yeah.
Some of the sours are really good. There's a place here in town that makes this amazing cherry sour that they then bourbon barrel age. Oh, the sweetness and the sour combined just superbly.
All right.
Sounds like we ran out of there.
No.
Natural progression from
on beer.
I haven't drank in almost 17 months, and my mouth just started watering.
Yeah.
Oh. No.
All right, so I guess I've gone through everything I really have in my outline. I guess anyone else have any other thoughts, or I guess any other thoughts on Cody's situation, or anything of the sort, or I guess crypto anarchism or anything like that?
Cody should have practiced more Vanu.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know if you guys talked about it because I heard you mentioning DEF CON, but Carl Casarda and Ian McCollum a couple of years ago did at DEF CON, at the real DEF CON, so like the one that doesn't get recorded.
Okay.
They did a really big talk on pre Cody Wilson on the future of 3D printing guns, because that was starting to become a thing that got brought up. And it's really interesting because the guys who are really, really into both guns and technology totally saw that coming from a long way off. And it's like when it hit, all of a sudden law enforcement and government was just like, I don't know what this is. Mm-hmm. It's just they completely didn't see it. And everybody else, we all knew it was coming. We all saw it coming from.
Yeah. Well, that's something that Shane and I talked about on an episode of, I know, Vanu or LUA a while back. But the government, both city, state, and federal level, they're largely a reactionary force, right? There's very little proactiveness when it comes to the government. So technology advances, the public gets it, and then the government goes, oh, wait a minute, and then the government has to do or tries to do something about it. It happened with the black market. It happened with 3D printed guns. It happens with digital currencies. So, as long as technology keeps going, the government will never get in front of it.
Well, and part of that too, I think, is if you look at the general pre-employed as a senator or as a congressman of whatever type, the job descriptions, almost everybody's a lawyer.
Lawyer or a lobbyist,
yeah,
or some sort of big business owner.
Yeah, you don't see people who are scientists. You don't see people who are, like computer programmers, really. You don't see, and you used to. There was a time where that was still a thing, where you had people who were involved in these things who were then legislating on these things. But, I mean, if you remove government, you divorce the idea of government from that and just say, okay, we're going to get 10 people who have absolutely no idea what 3/4 of these words mean and are going to ask how Facebook works.
Right.
We're going to have them then regulate that. And you just told that to normal people. Everyone would be like, that's the most retarded thing I've ever heard in my life. Why would you think that would ever work?
That's literally how Dianne Feinstein got a job.
Yeah.
Literally, that's literally how she got a job. Like her expertise on firearms from her own mouth was spending hundreds of hours looking at guns, looking at pictures and reading about guns. Like, that's her expertise.
I mean, you can learn that way, but I may not be a brain surgeon.
30 caliber magazine
brains.
clip per second. Just Kevin DeLeon.
Oh yeah, I remember that was absolutely painful. And the gun he was holding was actually really nice too. Didn't Feinstein muzzle everybody too when she was doing that presentation, constantly with an AK?
Muzzle, and she had her thumb. She had a thumb on the trigger.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is she going for the bump?
No, she was holding out in front of her, and she had the grip in her hand and had the thumb on the.
And she just kept sweeping this room full of journalists over and over and over again with this gun. And it had a mag in it, if I remember right. I think the mag was empty, but there's a mag in it. And she's just sweeping this entire room of people.
Yeah, a 30 round standard capacity magazine, which is illegal in DC.
Yeah.
Yeah, how did she get it in?
The same way she got her concealed carry license.
Wait, what?
Yeah. There's two sets of laws. There's two sets of laws, Bodie. One for us, one for them.
Like George Carlin said, there's a giant club and you ain't in it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but people still wave their flag.
Yeah.
Right. That's true. That's true. So yeah, I think that's a great point to kind of begin to close out on that. With technology, I mean, the state's been trying to get at they've with the I guess the advent of the personal computer, and when I guess the cypherpunks realized that this could turn into, I guess, a tyrannical nightmare. So they started building privacy enhancing tools like PGP and such. I mean, the state's been trying to catch up ever since. And with Bitcoin, it's been I think 10 years coming up in January. I mean, they still really don't know what to do about that. They still really aren't sure. They're still trying to figure that out. Still don't know what the hell it is. I think they probably still need they can ban it. I mean, all they can really do is just pass regulations and go after people that are using it. But they can't stop the technology itself. And I think that's a really, really positive thing. Regardless of what individuals are doing what things, the technology will still be there. And I mean, I don't know. I'm not really optimistic about a free society, but at the same time, if there's the great thing about crypto anarchism is it forces its way into the servile society, and then it becomes standard. Like with encryption on the internet, I mean, that's used every day in e-commerce, and that was a major development of cypherpunks and other privacy advocates. So going forward, maybe hopefully Bitcoin will just be kind of this commonplace thing where it's it's just baked into each browser, and if you want to pay somebody, it's just the internet money, and I think that's a really, really positive thing, and hopefully the privacy focus still stays there, like with the cypherpunk roots. So technology will continue. People will still be 3D printing guns. People can probably still buy ghost gunners if they want to, and I think that's really great. Certainly unfortunate with Cody, but the crypto anarchist movement moves on.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. He's just one guy. It sucks, but he is still just one guy.
Right.
He's our Ron Paul, but less status. Oh boy.
Yeah. Only Cody Wilson didn't try to sue his own supporters. Fuck you, Ron Paul, dickhead. And then take it to the United Nations. Yeah, the World Intellectual Property Office. Yeah, and then the United Nations called him a hypocrite. I think that's fantastic.
Wow.
But
accurate.
The UN is calling you
the most accurate thing out of the UN ever.
Yep. Exactly. Wow. So I guess I'll go ahead here and closing thoughts or plug whatever you want to. Boothe, what do you do, man?
Go to gora.threadless.com and buy my shirts.
Right on. Randy, and anything for
Randy, go to freeisbeautiful.com. My new book will be out in a couple months. Look for it.
Awesome. Give us a little synopsis. What's it going to be about?
Well, it's a greatly expanded version of the book I wrote in 2012 called Free is Beautiful, Why My Fellow Catholics Should Be Libertarian, Must Be Libertarian. And by libertarian, I, of course, don't mean Libertarian Party, but libertarian anarchists.
Right.
Which is the only
philosophical anarchist, not
that too. Yeah.
Actual.
But
anarchist.
it's really good if you do something also besides just be
edgy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad for anybody who is on my side, even if they don't do anything. But I'd like it if they actually did something. If they stay home and don't vote, that's a plus.
Yes, it is.
Or even if they vote no, I don't know. Anyway,
cool.
Thanks for letting me join in, Shane.
Yeah. Well, certainly appreciate it. I know you'd be valuable in kind of helping us normies understand what goes on in the legal system and how they might go about doing this. So we certainly appreciate your insight.
Yeah, you guys aren't normies, but anyway, we'll let that pass.
Well, but maybe not the right word, but oh well, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. And Jason, anything else, man? Anything you want to plug?
No, I mean, can't wait to get back to recording Vano, but that's about it.
Yeah, and I'm still working. I've got the so I interviewed Brett Venot on Monday or Tuesday. Yeah, Monday or Tuesday. And
I can't wait to listen to that one. You didn't send me a back door to that one.
I didn't because I can't. I'm still